Okay, so let's talk about a name you've almost definitely heard before. Saint Anthony of Padua. Yeah, he's basically a household name for one very, very specific thing. But believe me, the real man behind that title is way more fascinating than you probably know.
I mean, come on, we've all been there, right? Frantically searching for your keys, your wallet, your phone, and someone, maybe your mom or your grandma, says, just pray to St. Anthony. It's this little piece of advice that everyone seems to know. But why him? How did this one guy from centuries ago get this very specific, very popular job?
And it's true. He is, without a doubt, the church's #1 most famous saint for finding lost stuff. I mean, millions of people will swear by it. They'll tell you he's got a perfect track record.
But here's the thing, that famous title, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. To get why he's the finder of lost things, you have to know the whole person. We're talking about a brilliant teacher, a fearless champion for the poor, and a figure so beloved his life story sounds more like a legend.
So let's rewind all the way back to the beginning of his journey because it is an absolutely incredible story of a complete life transformation.
So on one side, you have the man he was born as, Fernando Martins de Bulhões. He came from a rich, noble family in Lisbon, Portugal. A comfortable, scholarly life was all laid out for him. But on the other side, you see the man he chose to become, Friar Anthony, a member of the brand new, kind of radical Franciscan Order, a group all about living a life of total poverty and service. It's a night and day difference.
So what could possibly cause such a dramatic U-turn in life? Well, it was one single powerful event. He actually saw the bodies of the very first 5 Franciscan martyrs being brought home after they were killed for their faith in Morocco. Seeing their incredible courage just lit a fire inside him. He knew right then and there he couldn't just stay in his safe, comfortable life. So, inspired by them, his new goal was to do the same thing, go to Africa and become a martyr. But, life had other plans. First, he gets incredibly sick. Then, the ship that's supposed to take him back home to recover gets caught in a massive storm and is blown completely off course. And where do they end up? Italy. And not just anywhere in Italy, but right near Assisi, the very heart of the Franciscan movement and the home of St. Francis himself. It's like a series of total mishaps put him exactly where he was meant to be.
Now, you'd think a guy with his education would show up and immediately be put in charge of something, right? Nope, not what happened at all. This next part of his story is all about his deep, deep humility. He didn't just walk into Italy and announce, "Hey everyone, I'm a brilliant theologian." It was the exact opposite. He actively hid just how educated he was. He wanted a simple life, a quiet life. He wanted to be known for his service, not for his big brain. Think about this. He didn't ask to teach or to preach. He volunteered for kitchen duty. Washing dishes, cooking, the most humble job you could have in the monastery. He just wanted to serve, totally under the radar.
But you can only hide that kind of talent for so long. The story goes that at an ordination ceremony, there was a mix-up about who was supposed to give the sermon. Nobody was prepared. So the superior, kind of on a whim, points to Anthony and just orders him to get up and preach whatever came to mind.
And the result was absolutely mind-blowing. The quiet friar from the kitchen gets up and delivers the sermon with so much passion, so much wisdom, and such deep knowledge that everyone was just left speechless. His cover was totally blown. The secret was out. In fact, St. Francis himself heard about this hidden genius and personally appointed Anthony to be the very first theology teacher for the friars.
And from that day forward, his quiet life, yeah, that was over. He was suddenly this celebrated preacher, a man of action, and, you guessed it, a worker of miracles. Okay, so this is it. This is how he got the patron saint of lost things gig. The story is this. A young friar stole his psalter, which was a really valuable, hand-copied book. Anthony didn't go after him, he just prayed really hard for its return. The thief, meanwhile, gets caught in this terrible storm, totally freaks out, sees it as a sign from God, feels awful, and not only returns, but brings the book back with him. And from that one little event, a legend was born. But his mission was so much bigger than finding lost books. He was a fierce, fierce advocate for the poor. He constantly spoke out against greed and injustice. This actually inspired a tradition called St. Anthony's Bread, where people give donations to the poor in his name as a thank you, and it's a practice that's still going on today. And his miracles, they were sometimes on a whole other level.
Get this, in a town called Rimini, the people were completely ignoring him, just refusing to listen. So what does he do? He walks down to the shore and starts preaching to the ocean. And incredibly, a giant school of fish swims up, sticking their heads out of the water like they were hanging on his every word. The townspeople saw this, were totally amazed, and immediately changed their ways.
So when you start to put all these pieces together, the brilliant teacher, the humble servant, the champion of the poor, the miracle worker, you start to see why his legacy was so powerful and so immediate. And what's truly mind-boggling is that he did all of this before he died at the age of just 35. His life was short, but wow, was it packed with impact. Now here is maybe the most incredible fact of all. It took the church less than 1 year to officially declare him a saint. Less than a year. That is insanely fast. It just goes to show you how overwhelmingly popular he was and how many miracles were happening at his tomb right after he passed away.
So here's the main takeaway. While we might know him as the finder of lost things, that's just the introduction. The real St. Anthony was this powerhouse preacher, a gifted teacher, a tireless advocate for the poor, a fearless miracle worker, a man of incredible courage who squeezed a lifetime of service into just a few short years.
Which kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? He started his new life by trying to be invisible, by working in a kitchen, and yet that very humility became the launch pad for a legacy that's lasted for more than 800 years. It really makes you wonder,